Hello there guys and welcome back to the channel. Now we finally know the finalized ability set that Iceman will have access to. And we did see how he looked in CCP beta, and he was definitely better. 100% better than he's currently in the game. But, well, to me and quite a lot of you guys watching as well, it just didn't seem that he will be quite good enough, I would say. There was no question that they had improved Iceman, but the worry was that they didn't improve him enough to bring him up to a standard of 2023 because, there was still relative lack of damage, even though that was improved, or bits of utility. And the most important bit was damage, realistically. He looked like he would do fine-ish with Liquid Cottage Double Edge. Definitely not without it, and he was extremely critical hit reliant. And there are some good and bad news, I suppose. The good news is that they have changed him up slightly. There will be some things that help him further, at least one thing that helps him further. And the bad thing is he's still going to be extremely crit reliant. But we're going to get to it in just a second. So his stats, PI, prestige, stuff like that. He's not going to be prestige champion. Let me just put it straight up. He's not going to have high prestige. Now here they mark him as a high damage dealing champion. I'll definitely be interested to see it if he really lives up to that name. But most of his mechanics are relatively unchanging. So obviously there is the frostbite, there is that cold snap, and there's still the ice armor, which reforms and works exactly the same. So his strength's anti-evade, which actually now will be much more manageable because they did increase the cold snap duration on his level 1. Damage reduction, yes, so he can tank level 3s and stuff like that. That can also be quite helpful. Obviously, also the stun immunity, or stun shrug off ability that he can have, and frostbite passives being passives also can be quite helpful. Now, weaknesses: energy resistance, reliance on critical hits. Those are definitely two of his biggest weaknesses. So his abilities. So let's get into his abilities properly. For those of you who are in a rush, what has changed since the beta, namely, is that he is purifying now his ice armor. His ice armor purification effect has been moved from level 2 to all of his abilities. So previously, if ice armor is removed due to a level 2, all frostbites expired instantly. Now that will trigger whenever his ice armor is removed. So if you get stunned, that will trigger. If you hit level 3, that will also trigger. Not really a big change, but sometimes it could kind of save you being able to allow you to do some damage instantly. But the biggest change that they have actually done to Iceman that is significantly helpful is his signature ability. They added this line to signature ability: while the opponent has cold snap debuff, the chance to apply frostbite on critical hits is increased by 30% flat, I assume at max sig. Well, Iceman was always a champion that kind of required high sig, in my opinion. So that being the sig ability, tied to sig ability, I don't think is the biggest problem. But the biggest benefit here is that originally, currently in the game, if we take a look at Iceman, he has a 45% chance to place a frostbite on his critical hits. That's currently. And they have upped it to 70% on his critical hits, and that was how it was in beta. So he was placing more frostbites, and having more frostbites and detonating them allowed Iceman to do significantly more damage. And now, with the sig ability, if your Iceman is high sig, he will guaranteed place a frostbite on a critical hit, which again is going to increase that even further. Your opponent has to be suffering from cold snap debuff, but that isn't the biggest restriction in my opinion, because in vast majority of the cases you kind of want to be spamming your level 1s anyways. And there we go. So if opponent is suffering from cold snap, you will have guaranteed chance to apply a frostbite. So that is effectively the thing that they have improved. Whether that will be enough, obviously, is a different discussion, but we'll talk about it. So let's break down his abilities properly. just as a reminder, if you guys don't remember, he is getting his immunities updated. He is going to be the first champion that is immune to no flames. Honestly, I don't think it's a big deal or it matters too much. I just think it's going to be one more champion that Human Torch can't nuke in Battlegrounds. But other than that, offensively using Iceman, I don't think it's going to matter at all because, you could bring in Iceman against Human Torch anyways because he was Incinerate immune. Now being immune to no flames and only champion having no flames being Human Torch isn't really going to mean too much to you offensively with the champion, other than the fact that, Iceman now can't be nuked down by Human Torch, but, it's not like... I mean, again, it's neat. It's a first. We all like to celebrate all sorts of firsts in today's day and age, but I just don't think it matters that much. I think the thing that matters more is that he's actually Cold Snap immune. And now he's going to be fully Incinerate, Bleed, Poison, and Cold Snap immune. I think that is the most important thing. The fact that you can bring him, I suppose, in like every hazard chip node imaginable and only have to worry about shock. Put an Odin's pre-fight on him, give him 90% shock resistance, and you have a hazard shift tank, basically. But yeah, Bleed, Poison, Cold Snap, Incinerate immune, obviously also no Flame and Frostbite. So tons of immunities, and that's going to be one of his biggest selling points. Ice Armor functions and will function exactly the same as it does right now. So you have your Ice Armor buff that counts as an armor buff for all other abilities. 700 armor, it's not the biggest armor up. And if you would lose more than 5% of his max health from a single source, Ice Armor basically eats it up. So you spend your Ice Armor and cap the damage at 5%. It reforms in 15 seconds or 12 seconds if your Iceman's awakened. And if Iceman becomes stunned while this armor is active, you can purify it and then shatter the armor. And this is again the change where if Ice Armor is removed due to any of these abilities, your Frostbite effects expire instantly. Now, other than that, as I mentioned, this has been increased from 45% originally, currently in game, to 70%. Again, with that signature ability, this will go up to 100%. So he is going to basically rely on his critical hits, max precision, a must for Iceman. Heavy attack, this causes all Frostbite passives to expire instantly and deal additional 900 energy damage. Obviously, this will stack up quite nicely when you have multiple Frostbites with their casual damage. And then we have Special 1. The final hit inflicts Cold Snap debuff for 14 seconds. This, again, currently in the game, I believe, is significantly short. It's 9 seconds, so making it 14 seconds will make Iceman a reliable evade counter, which is one of the bigger kind of like utility points that he has aside from his immunities, which I do like. And also the final hit inflicts 2 personal Frostbite passives guaranteed. And obviously you still, if you happen to crit, will inflict more Frostbite passives. So it's going to likely be your go-to special in most cases. Other than that, Special 2 consumes your Ice Armor to gain attack rating. You can have a nice crit here, but I think typically you're going to want to spam level 1s to shut down opponents' evade and generate more Frostbite passives. And Special 3 still does the same, inflicts 18-second Cold Snap and instantly reforms Ice Armor. So the biggest improvement here would be basically he's going to have access to even more of the Cold Snaps. Aside from that, synergies aren't really changed much. This synergy is kind of with Professor X nerfed a little bit. Not nerfed, but the synergy with Scorpion is nerfed a little bit. Because previously it used to give the critical rating per Cold Snap, but obviously now that you're going to be spamming them, it's basically going to be like just have the one at all times. You can't double, triple, and quadruple the effect of this. And this synergy, because the ability that Iceman had here with Professor X synergy is in his base kit now, which is when his Ice Armor shatters, you consume the Frostbites. They basically made a new synergy where you inflict 3 personal Frostbite passives whenever the opponent purifies a Cold Snap debuff. I don't think it's an important synergy at all, so, it's just one of those things. So synergies are effectively unchanged. Recommended masteries, Liquid Courage, Double Edge, Physical Energy, Resistance, and Precision. Sure, why not? But ultimately, this is an improvement to what we saw in CCP. So I do like that. I do like that they didn't just stick with that like they did with Iron Man Infinity War, and nobody cares about Iron Man Infinity War buff. So I do think there is a better chance for Iceman buff. I will definitely be testing it out before the update goes live. I do have a rank 3 6-star Sig 200 Iceman. If he's good, I wouldn't mind taking him to rank 4, to be honest, but we're gonna have to wait and see for that. How is his damage output? Is it good enough? So when his update comes out, which is going to be Monday or Tuesday, I believe, I will immediately be releasing damage comparison, pre-buff, post-buff, and stuff like that. So stay tuned for it. But overall, I am slightly more hopeful about this buff than I was before. I'm not completely sold on it. I don't know if his damage output will be good enough, but at the same time, having, like 4 very, very good immunities, Cold Snap, Poison, Bleed, Incinerate, and, being able to counter evade, could be, maybe. We'll see how that works out. Let me know what you guys think, and I'm going to catch you guys soon. See ya. Bye. Hello there, guys, and welcome back to the channel. So we have all the information about